Hey, welcome to Unshakable Habits Live. Today, we are going to talk about why it is that some days making healthy choices is easier than others. Hey guys, my name is Stephen Box, and I help people to take their routines and their habits from unsustainable to unshakable. So, if you are looking for some help doing that, or you're looking for a professional speaker to come in and speak to your organization about these topics, this is how you get a hold of me, unshakablehabits.com/consult. So let's jump into today's topic, which is all about the compound effect of stress. Normally, I think most of us, anyways, have a tendency to think about decision making, willpower, being able to stick with something in a vacuum. They're one off decisions. I know I've been guilty of this in the past myself, where you'll make a great decision, and then later in the day, you'll maybe make a poor decision or an unhealthy decision. And you kind of beat yourself up. You're like, oh man, what is wrong with me? Why can't I just stick with this? And the truth of the matter is, if you're just relying on willpower alone, it's going to be very difficult. But that's not really the whole story about why we sometimes make unhealthy decisions. Because there are days where you wake up and you make great decisions early in the day when you haven't completely worn yourself down, when you still have maybe some willpower. It's easy. But some days, even when your willpower should be at a high level, you struggle. You make unhealthy choices. So, why is that? And that is what we're talking about today. So, let's talk about this compound effect of stress. The first thing you need to understand is that your body does not actually understand the level of stress. Okay. So, here's what I mean by that. Let's say you are in the ocean and you see a shark fin 5 feet away from you. Now, you can imagine, first of all, you probably have a lot of fear, right? Which is going to kick in that fight or flight response. So the adrenaline gets going, the stress response is there. Now, imagine that you're sitting in traffic and you finally get a chance to go and you start to hit the gas and somebody jumps right in front of you and slams on the brakes. Well, you have a very similar reaction to the reaction that you had with the shark. Now, you might not be afraid of the person who slammed on brakes in front of you like you are the shark, but your body doesn't know the difference. It sees the stress in the exact same way. And what is important is what happens to us after the fact. See, a lot of times when we find ourselves in stressful situations, there's a period of time where we feel the stress afterwards, right? The sweaty palms, the elevated heart rate, the just feeling of being rushed or scared or whatever feelings might come along with that. And when we have those feelings, when we get out of that situation after a little while, once the adrenaline kind of wears down, they go away. But that doesn't mean that the impact of that stress on our body has finished with us yet. So here's what this might look like. Maybe someone does something to irritate you, stress you out, whatever at work. You finish up your work day, you come home, you're like, oh man, I can finally relax. But here's the thing, you're worked up still. You haven't had a release for this yet. You're still worked up. And as a result of that, you maybe get to bed an hour later than what you normally would. Not the end of the world, right? It's just an hour. Okay. But that hour might have just cost you a huge amount of REM sleep, right? If you don't know, REM sleep is the sleep that you really need the most. And the amount that you, or the time of your sleep that you usually get the biggest majority of your REM sleep is the last hour. So if you lose an hour of sleep, you're actually really losing out on the most important part of your sleep. So when that happens, the next day you wake up, you're groggy, you're going to be more prone to make mistakes, or you're going to be more prone to make unhealthy choices because your brain is not fully awake. Your body can't function the way it wants to. Throughout the course of that day, a couple of, unhealthy decisions here or there, you start to load up on caffeine to try to get through your day. Next thing you know, it affects your sleep the next night. And you continue to make choices that might be unhealthy. You start to eat foods that give you energy, foods that are high in sugar. And you do that just to get you through. You're still consuming the caffeine. Maybe you don't work out because you don't have time or you're just too tired to do it. You're having to use all this energy just to get through your day. So all that happened because one day at work, someone stressed you out or something stressed you out and you didn't give yourself a release to let go of the stress. So I share this with you today because I want you to be aware that even when you don't necessarily feel stressed, even when it's over and you feel better, you can still be stressed. And if you are stressed, but you're not realizing it, the consequences are not just isolated to that one day. They can carry over day after day after day. And if we're not careful, they can really throw us completely off of track. And that is not how you become unshakable. So that is my tip for you today. I hope you guys enjoyed that and found it useful. If you did, do me a favor. Please comment on this video. Social media does not like to show content to people unless it gets engagement. So if you can just write in the comments one big takeaway that you took from this video, I would greatly appreciate it. And that will help other people see this content as well. I will see y'all back tomorrow for another episode of Unshakable Habits Live. And in the meantime, remember that you can be better than good enough because you, my friend, can be unshakable, even if you have zero willpower.